Well, we appreciate you coming on. I love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we
Thank
appreciate you having us here.
Before we get into the interview and picking your brains about how this whole process worked, we start every episode with a breakdown of a movie or TV show, as you guys know out there in the universe. But before we get into the breakdown, I do have to address why my voice sounds like this to everyone out there in the world. So we are recording this the day after St. Patrick's Day, and that's why my voice sounds like this. So there's a short and sweet answer.
A leprechaun came up to him and just kicked him in the balls.
What? That would push my voice up. That would make my voice higher.
Maybe in the throat.
Yeah, something like that.
It was all the blackout dick sucking.
There you go.
Too many blackout dicks. It's just I reached my dick blackout limit at about 12:30 last night.
And
your throat has not recovered.
Yeah, it just hasn't been enough time. We've only been like 12 hours, guys. Anyway, so what are we breaking down today, guys? What do we decide on? Anyone want to chime in? Don't everyone speak at once.
I think we decided on Black Panther, didn't we?
Yeah,
Black Panther.
Blickety Black Panther.
So, who wants to kick this train off? I'm not going to let it be Carl first because I already know he's got a fire smoldering within him.
Yes.
Don't start,
That's what I can't
Carl.
wait for.
Got some kind of grudge against Black Panther.
But I saw it again actually this past week.
Okay.
So I saw it for the second time. The first time I saw it, I was so excited. I was super, super high and had like 2 cocktails at me. I was like just enjoying it for what it was.
Yeah.
And then I saw it again like normal. And then I was like, thinking about it from like the industry perspective.
Yeah.
So as far as Marvel movies go, in my opinion, one of the best. I've been a fan of Black Panther since the comic book series. That was the first comic book I ever bought at a convention, at a Tampa comic book convention like 6 years ago. I was walking through there and it was a 1976 Black Panther issue, and there was 2 of them. I got 2 of them. At that convention, and when I opened it up and started reading, it was T'Challa first going from Wakanda to New York for the first time. In the comic series, his dad had already passed away, so he was king, and it was very 70s style. So throughout the whole comic book episode, he's in Brooklyn and he's fighting the Klan. The Ku Klux Klan, like a bunch of white guys in fucking white pointy hoods, and Black Panther's literally like, bam, and doing like punches and like, all that straight up 70s style comic book,
like poof, pow.
Yeah, like all.
Like Batman.
Yeah, exactly. All that
like
cheesy stuff. But it was hilarious dialogue. Like T'Challa in there was like a straight up African warlord style. And he's like, they have like dinner at this family who's in Brooklyn who's hosting him. And like he has dinner with this like Brooklyn family. And he's straight up like Wakandan and like doesn't know cultures. So like the whole thing is like, yo, pass me that egg roll. And he's like, I do not pass, I am the king. Or something, shit like that. And it was hilarious. I loved it. I was like, this is great. And then he just runs around and beats up racists. It was pretty dope. It was pretty dope. But yeah, the movie I thought was amazing. I don't know, story-wise, it was great. What I viewed from it after watching it the second time and being sober is, and this has a lot to do with Disney and them owning it in-house, and I get why they did it for money reasons.
Okay.
I compared it to, it was a Marvel version of Lion King. Scar, the family, the betrayal, coming back. It's all about royalty and the family. It's all about the dispute over the throne. Somebody backstabbed and similarities, not exactly parallels, but my brain saw those similarities.
Right? Would that
in
make
the story.
Killmonger Simba?
No, Killmonger, he would technically be Scar, but I know that doesn't work because Scar's the uncle.
Yeah.
So that's why I said similarities, not exact parallels.
Sure.
Not verbatim. But the concept of a storytelling being like, oh, we want to have a family dispute over the throne.
Right.
We want to have some kind of sabotage and some kind of conflict of upheaval, and now a fallen hero has to rise again and overcome the challenge and save the day.
After hanging out with like Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah, word. So who are Timon and Pumbaa in Black Panther?
I'm
Her general, that general
guy.
girl and the
Sheen.
white guy?
Well, what's his name? Sheen? No,
The CIA agent?
The guy from The Hobbit.
Yeah, Martin.
Martin Sheen. No, right? It's not Martin.
No.
Is that Martin Sheen?
No. What is Freeman, maybe?
Martin Freeman.
That
sounds better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like Timon. I don't know who Pumbaa
Is he Timon? To be honest, I don't know which one is Timon and which one is Pumbaa.
Pumbaa's the warthog.
Pumbaa's the warthog and Timon is the beer cat.
I just know Timon and Pumbaa as a duo. I don't know them as individuals.
Well, maybe we should start with a recap of Lion King.
By the way, out there, if you're listening to this, all you millennials, there's this great movie that's animated called The Lion King.
You're gonna know it's
Came out in the
Donald
90s.
Glover and Beyonce will be in the remake,
Right?
Hold on, what's happening? There's a remake?
Yeah, pause, because that was a great point. And I wanted to, before we get back on to Black Panther, I gotta say this. I love Donald Glover. He's one of my favorite human beings. I have the tattoo that says "Sometimes I'm childish" right on my chest.
No, you don't.
So he's one of my inspirations when he started Derek Comedy for me to start my film company in Florida and all this stuff. Anyways, so he's playing Simba in the remake for the Lion King.
He's playing Simba.
They're doing a live action remake.
Live action.
Yeah.
You haven't heard about this.
No, but how is it gonna be live action? He's a human.
I think it's gonna kind of be the Jungle Book,
Like the CGI kind of thing, I guess.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got it. So it's his voice.
I mean, I assume,
yeah.
or maybe it's just
Well,
going to be
there's-
straight
We
up
don't
them
know.
filming it like a Broadway.
Yeah, this is just
with those
them all
moving
fours,
masks.
like-
And,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
whatever it is, the other
They
day,
keep calling it a live action
Like, I'm
remake,
confused.
and I'm very confused because they call it the live action remake, and I'm like, but it's all animals.
well, he
Right.
might.
Like,
So-
there's no
It's not
human
even like
counterpart.
Jungle Book where there's like a person that they're
So
filming and
I
there's
don't know.
CGI animals.
I can't wait to find out.
It
Are they
could
gonna
just
have
be
Donald
like
Glover with all the balls on him.
the
It's
same
like-
thing, same story, just applied to humans in a tribe. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
It's like it's still
So like Black Panther.
kind of yeah.
So
That's what I
you're
was thinking.
taking an interpretation of Hamlet in the Lions and then making it back about humans. So it's just Hamlet.
Kind of. I don't know what they're gonna do. That's not my point. Hold on. I want to finish this
okay.
thought process
Yeah,
before I
yeah.
forget.
Here we go, here
Because
we
the
go.
Donald Glover thing, and the other day I was listening to like a playlist of his or Pandora or something. Or Dash. I was listening to Dash. Fuck Pandora.
Dash.
Sorry. I wasn't listening to Pandora. I don't know why I said that. Fuck them. But anyways, gotta represent team, yo. Team Dash.
Squad up.
Anyways,
Squad up.
Squad up.
one of his old original first or second album rap songs came on from Gambino, from Childish Gambino, and in the song, Childish Gambino is his rap. Okay, all right. You looked at me like I didn't know who that
No.
was.
I was just like, wow, a song from the second album came on.
It was like off a cul-de-sac or something. Yeah. So back into talking about Don Glover, he did this line about the Lion King, about him being Simba. In his rap, and then now he's playing Simba in the live action. So that's why I was like, when you said that, I was like, holy shit, by the way, realize this shit. He just talking about manifest your fucking reality.
Wow.
Right there.
Yeah, he
Speak it
meant
into
that.
existence.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
Abracadabra, was it speak? I create what I speak. Is
Yeah.
that what abracadabra means in Hebrew?
I did not know
I
that.
know
Yeah.
that.
Abracadabra, I think, fact check me out there, internet trolls.
I know that
But,
statement was so heavy.
Yeah, abracadabra is I create what I speak.
I hope that's true because I like that.
I do.
Sounds like a tattoo right there.
That's what that means?
I'm pretty sure.
I create what I speak. Oh, that's fucking lit.
Yeah. I might just fit it into the end of my phrases and be like, yo, let's kick it tonight, abracadabra.
So that's pretty funny.
Yo, I'm doing this shit, dude.
Abracadabra.
I'm doing this. Abracadabra. Hashtag
I'm
abracadabra.
gonna put it in my
I'm just doing
email
that.
signature.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Living my best life, abracadabra.
will be created in my words.
Oh,
Well, there you go. Thank you, guys.
right.
Will
Thank
be
you.
That
created
works
in
better.
my words.
That works better.
yes, abracadabra.
Close enough.
So back to Black Panther.
Yeah, so
Oh yeah, we
Ladies,
gotta-
what are your thoughts on Black Panther? I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of the film?
I have also seen it twice, and I was not drunk both times. I actually quite. The funny thing is, the first time I saw it, I was like, yes, and I kind of was like, I think I might, slightly be maybe 50% Team Killmonger, not completely because he's choking people out, but he got a lot of good points. I was like, I don't know.
He
It's
has a lot of
tough.
good points. It was like, yeah,
I'm like, you can't
very
choke the
sexy as
elders,
hell.
but also he not lying. I was like, I don't know. I was like, and then the second time, I think I appreciated more that like had we just listened to Nakia in the beginning, because she also was making those same points. She just wasn't as And I was
Yep.
like, you know what? And also too, I'm not a big comic book person. I've never read a comic book. I'm pretty sure that's the first Marvel movie I've seen. Although I did recently find out that Spider-Man is Marvel, so I did watch the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield ones.
Yeah.
So I've seen a couple, but I'm not like the big like Marvel MCU whatever. So I can't really speak to it in that regard. But just as an action movie, I mean, it was certainly one of the best ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was just fun.
Oh yeah, intensely good.
It was just so fun, but also like crazy.
Yeah.
Very crazy.
What a wild movie. A lot of things I
the-
was not expecting.
Yeah. Well, the script was really like tight and had a lot of twists, and they treated characters in a pretty unique way for an action comic book movie.
Yo.
Especially like Killmonger.
Yo.
He's not your typical villain. He doesn't get your typical villain's ending.
Oof.
Yeah.
So.
But when he was in a museum and he said, "How you think your ancestors got all those?" I was like, "Oh, oh, that's the movie that we're doing." Okay, got it.
They
I
were
liked
not
it.
pulling their punches.
I was not ready to see that in a movie theater.
They're pushing the bounds with Ragnarok and it's comedy now, and then Black Panther with those kind of statements. It's like I feel like Black Panther is Marvel's version of like Rogue One. Like Rogue One to the Star Wars franchise, it was like Black Panther to Marvel. More gritty, great story, told a whole different untold chapter that was
Right.
completely independent of anything else going on. No other characters from the MCU were in the
Yeah,
Black
that was
Panther
the other thing
movies.
I know
It's
because
all
again I haven't
Wakanda.
seen. So I did just see the trailer for Infinity War, and that one it's like
Fucking
86,000
everybody.
people,
Yeah.
right? So are the other movies different in the sense that they include a lot of the other characters, whereas this one was like it's in Wakanda, what no other.
Well, actually, they kind of really just started doing that with the let me think. What film was it?
The Civil War, really.
Civil War. Civil
Okay.
War was like the most
But I mean,
recent
like
movie I've
Thor
seen.
and them
Like,
too.
yeah, but like, well,
They
well
always
no,
come across
actually,
somebody. It's usually they
actually,
come across
yeah,
like
exactly.
one person.
They always come
Like
across
a
like
guest
one or two
appearance.
people,
Yeah.
one or two
Okay.
people like along. But it really didn't really start until like those Avenger movies started actually. coming
Then
out.
they
Like, when
started kind of
that's
having
when they
like
started
drop this
crossing out.
people in.
And the only time they would have crossed paths would be at the end, after the credits, where Tony Stark would come in the room and be like, "Yo, I got this
Which
team."
they did. They had that other dude who I didn't know who he was, and I'm
Right.
still not quite clear, but I know he's like somebody. Bucky.
Oh yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he's one of the.
Yeah.
If you watch Civil War,
Okay.
with Captain America and like Iron Man, they're fighting and whatnot. At
Oh,
the
I didn't
end,
know Captain America and Iron Man get into a fight.
yeah, it's pretty good. It's
Oh,
pretty-
yeah, they made a whole movie about it.
It's a pretty good
I
movie.
thought they were all on the same side.
No,
Oh
that's
yeah, at one point, but then they had beef.
Oh, that's-
real beef.
But
like
now they're
Tupac,
back
Biggie
because
shit.
in this new
Yeah.
trailer they're back on the same.
Well, actually, they haven't really shown that. All they do is just hear like epic lines like, "Come here, you know what's right." So we don't know. Yeah,
Right.
they want to save that for the big screen. But
Well, you know what? I think
The ending scene of Black Panther, if you waited until the very
when the dude came out of the hut.
yeah.
end,
Right, that's Bucky.
And, yeah, at the end of Civil
the
War.
Winter
'cause,
Soldier,
Well,
yeah.
that's like the source of their beef in Civil War. So
No,
Iron Man.
and Captain America.
Yeah, Iron Man wants that dude to be like in jail for all his war crimes, whereas Captain America is all like, "Yo, I understand he got brainwashed and whatnot. Like he's he's actually my homie from back in the day. You know,
see,
like
he
in
trying
the
to make
50s.
exceptions for the homies.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So he drops him off in Wakanda. At the end of Civil War.
No, he didn't.
That's how they start off.
So,
like
so that's why she was like, "Oh, another broken white boy."
Yep, that's exactly where that line came from.
Right. She was like, so y'all just gonna keep bringing me all these.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's how they kind of like led us into like knowing about Black Panther, and then we see.
Was that the last movie before Black Panther? No, Thor.
So the
Thor
first-
Ragnarok,
the first
which I
movie-
have. I'm gonna go see that Tuesday.
That's really
You'll
good.
like that
actually,
one. It's a
I've heard
comedy.
good things about
It's real
that
fun.
one. Very
I'm gonna be right.
excited.
I'm gonna be right honest.
Yo.
I like that better than Black Panther.
Really?
Yeah.
Ragnarok?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Go for it. Ooh, hold on.
Black Twitter on fire right now.
Yo, I'll go into like Black Panther right now. Like I think it was.
Yo, let's get this fire burning. I want to
burn
hear
the
this.
fire.
Yo,
Unleash the
I think,
fury.
I think it was good. But at the same time, I felt like I was watching it as if I was watching a movie that like my friends were in. Like, how am I not gonna like it? It's fucking black. Like I felt as though my perspective of the film was skewed. It's every like I've been waiting for this movie for like a year.
Yeah.
It's a dope. It's the first like black male like black superhero period. It's Marvel, so it's legit. You know, it's happening on the mainstream. Like it's not. Ain't some straight to Redbox shit.
Right.
You know, everyone knows about it.
Right.
So it's like it felt like I was already like, in a way, like brainwashed to like the film, which I didn't have a problem with. I wanted to like it, you know. So maybe I have to see it again. But first of all, I'm just going in there like I'm going like to a Lakers game, and I'm a Lakers fan. You know, like I'm going in there, like no matter what this movie's gonna do, it's not really gonna do wrong for me. So that's my mindset going in. I go and see the film, and I think it was great. It was a good movie, but I say that in a way in terms of like they didn't fuck it up.
So it's like the Barack Obama films.
I mean, I think you could argue that the Barack was not a. He didn't knock it out the park.
But
he
he didn't
didn't.
fuck it up.
Yeah. So.
He didn't.
So I had to
so
see it
funny.
again, but those were my feelings after I saw Black Panther. In my mind, like they didn't fuck it up. You know, that's how I felt. If you think about it, like I can tell you right now, like we watch a whole bunch of like Marvel movies and whatnot. I can't remember like a standalone scene from that movie that was like an awesome action sequence. Like,
You know what I was gonna say, because my
Think about-
roommate is a huge Marvel, like massive, to the point that he hasn't even seen Wonder Woman. Like, and I didn't know that Wonder Woman was a
he
different.
just got beef with like DC.
He
Like,
just is like, I don't watch DC movies.
God.
And that was my first time finding out that there's, that exists.
Well, like-
that's a thing. He was just like, oh, I know I'm not. So anyway, he watched it, and again, he's like Mr. Marvel. And his thing was, and I guess I can see it, like, you see most action movies, and it's almost like the world is, like, the stakes are so high, the world is ending, New York is blowing up. And this one, he was like, oh, it was nice. Like, it was really good in the ways that it was good, but the stakes never felt like high, like that high
but
for him.
you need that because it was an individual character film. Their conflicts are supposed to be smaller because that's the whole point of the
for
Avengers
sure.
as a team.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
if the stakes are so high in an individual character movie that it's the same as an Avengers movie, it's like, yeah, but Black Panther handled that on his own last time.
Yeah.
Why does he need a whole team now?
You know what? In terms of like the stakes, I felt as though they were okay because they were affecting that world of like Wakanda. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it was, yeah.
And,
So that was big enough.
if the ships had gotten out, obviously at that point,
Exactly.
the, stakes
The
would have been
Avengers would have shown
massive.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like the next thing, but my issue was just that, like, usually whenever I watch like a Spider-Man, like for instance, like with the Spider-Man movie, the first image that comes to your mind, the one that recently came out with Homecoming, that was pretty good too. You haven't seen that one with
haven't
Spider-Man
seen
and
that.
Iron
It's
Man?
good. I
It's
wanna
pretty
see-
good.
yeah,
But the
pretty
iconic scene you come up with is like Spider-Man with the webs. I'm like trying to pull like the ship together. You know what I mean? Like and like. In Black Panther, there was none of that. Like, the only moment I can remember is from the trailer of him, like, jumping off of the car and the car in the background, like, flipping, you know what I mean? And then he jumps on top of the other car. Like, that's like, the most iconic part, and that was, like, in the trailer. So, and so that's one thing of the film that I was like, all right, it's okay. To me, I thought it was an okay film.
See, I'm going to disagree with you on 2 points.
Yeah, I feel like it
I
was
think there
some
were iconic action
iconic
sequences.
moments.
They just weren't T'Challa's. Right?
Okay, there we go.
Like, let's remember that scene where she comes flying over and shoves a spear through a car into the pavement.
Yeah, that's true.
Who stabs a car?
Yeah,
Okay?
come
First
on.
of all, have we ever seen that before? No.
Come on.
And it's epic, it's iconic, and it's insanely memorable. It just
Yeah.
wasn't T'Challa.
Even
Okay,
the
there
casino
we go.
fight. The casino fight.
That
and again,
was
of course, yeah,
epic.
it's still the same person.
Right, exactly. Because she is like the badass warrior in that film. Even though it's not her film.
Yeah, there
He's
you
not
go.
the name on the...
Also, wait a second. I'm sorry. The Killmonger and T'Challa fight for the throne wasn't iconic for you? Is this your king?
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole moment. That's a cultural
Yeah, but
moment.
When you're like throwing somebody off of a fucking waterfall, because at the whole time during that fight, you're like, all right, he'll get back up.
But at the
Yeah,
same
you're like, oh,
and he's like, oh no, he's going off the cliff.
But
and you're like, oh.
hold on, but at the same time, I don't need to watch a Marvel movie to see that scene. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, all right,
Like,
makes sense.
like to me, like that could happen in any movie.
Okay.
Like for me, like you,
Okay.
like I like in superhero movies, dude punches him, he goes across the room and then breaks a crack in the wall. You know what I mean? It's like shit like that. And I'm not trying to take away from that scene. That was great. I'm just talking about like.
That's
for
a good
instance,
point,
I
though.
guess
You didn't have to go
For
through.
me, what I love about comics and like the breadth of the MCU now is that we can have comic book superhero movies that feel really grounded in humanity, right? Like you can have the
Yeah.
whole spectrum. You can have the huge epic Avengers fight that, an entire city floats into the air, okay? Or you can have two regular ass buff warrior dudes fighting on the top of a waterfall for, a single kingdom.
Yeah.
And we have the ability to have that whole range of quality, high budget, like huge
Yeah.
budget films, and get to see that executed insanely well. Like, I think Marvel right now is moving away from just this is a superhero film to this is a superhero universe, but this is the ragtag, smuggler comedy, and this is like, the royalty family drama.
Yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
Black Panther.
That's definitely what they're doing.
That's
yeah.
really dope.
Right? Like, there's a huge variety of genres now that Marvel is making within the MCU, and each one kind of has its own thing.
You just
So-
pitched me on these MCU movies.
So you have to watch them
There's
all.
been
Okay, but
several
skip the
people
whole first,
that
like,
have been like,
round.
you gotta. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'll always maybe watch like one or two more, but I'm good.
Yeah, honestly.
But now I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but honestly, skip. Aside from the original Iron Man, I think skip the whole.
Well, I'll tell
I
you this
heard
right
that
now.
I gotta watch
round.
one of the two Captain America movies.
Yes,
My-
but
my
skip the
fa-
first one.
My
Okay.
favorite to right now, my favorite Marvel movie is what's the homie? Oh yeah, Doctor Strange. That's my favorite
I
Marvel
didn't see
movie.
that.
Doctor
Really?
Strange was dope.
Yes, it is.
What?
That's the best one.
I
I'm sorry.
Really?
I loved it because there's a lot of like references to mysticism and occult knowledge and like alchemy and things
So
like
it's
that.
still kind of like
So it's
Alice said, creating its own.
Oh yeah, it's its own like fantasy magic,
it's magic based. That's a
just
good
within
thing.
the MCU.
And like
That's why I like it, is because of his character specifically, I think. But as a
And-
film standalone, I'd weigh Ragnarok and Black Panther up against them.
But I think
And Civil
I
War.
like, but to me, Doctor Strange was just from the way it was told. It was pretty original. Like the way that he's the whole out of body experiences. Like he's like fighting like
Doing astral projection.
Yeah, he's open doors. He's like in a different like part of the fucking world. Like
So these are two things that Marvel's touched on: the astral projection thing in Doctor Strange, and then now in Black Panther, the little Avatar kind of tribute with eating that drink or drinking like a mushroom hallucinogen thing to go to the astral plane to go see his ancestors. So they're definitely toying with the idea and putting it out in public of like psychedelic substances, putting it in there in movies as people use them for tools. But I love that aspect of the movie because like I had an astral projection experience, and then like 2 years later, Doctor Strange came out, and I'm like, they're talking about what happened. I'm not crazy. And then I was like, this is a comic movie, Devin.
No,
this is
you
not a
are
documentary.
Yeah.
And one of the things I liked about Doctor Strange was that at the end, and every like action movie or superhero movie, like they at the last scene, the last stanza, they're coming out
Right.
to fight the bad guy, right? Like to stop the shit from happening.
Right.
And Doctor Strange, when they show up, it's already happened. It's over. Like the city's already toppled. Like the aliens are already in. Like it's over. It's like shit, we're late. But Doctor Strange has the power to like turn time backwards. Right, so for the last scene of the film, he's turning time backwards, so things are going in reverse. While him and the homie are like in real time, like beating up the dudes, while like the buildings are like coming back together. While like everything, so that was like a cool spin on like an ending of an action movie.
Okay.
So I took that into consideration, but yeah, like I think Black Panther was great, but to me it didn't feel like it didn't separate itself from other Marvel movies. If you ask me, the only movie, if it's a Marvel movie, you wouldn't consider it. The one that separates it from the crowd is Deadpool. Like that's the one that's like way different than the other ones. If that's what you want to talk.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, Deadpool and the X-Men are kind of like in a different universe within the MCU, but they're supposed to be like
not anymore.
they don't interact with.
Not anymore. They
In the comic book universe, they cross the lines all the time. But in the MC, like as of now, what they've structured it is like you don't see X-Men in Civil War.
But they just Disney,
They're not going to be in Avengers.
Yes.
Or, I mean, not in Infinity War.
That just not in the next movie. But that just happened recently. They bought the rights to Disney and Fox, so now Deadpool is not part of an X-Men.
Oh yeah, no, I know
part
that.
of that
yeah,
world now.
yeah, but
So,
I'm talking
and now-
like I don't
Oh,
know.
is
if
that why
they'll
they didn't
blend
cross
those
before?
lives.
Because Fox
Yeah,
owned
exactly. And
X-Men
and the comic
Deadpool.
books they link up and whatnot, but in our movies they haven't.
But
because
now
of-
that Disney owns Fox, now
And
they
that's
are
also
free
why
to-
you didn't realize that Spider-Man was a Marvel character, because it was owned by Sony
Yeah.
for so long. So
That's where
it
that was
couldn't be
good old-
part of the universe. He couldn't be an Avenger, even though he is an Avenger.
and now
okay.
that's coming together.
Oh, okay.
Because Disney is
So wait,
a monopoly taking over the world.
Okay, I got it. No, I got it. It just all came together.
Hold on,
I'm there.
Carl. Can I please get the whole
Yeah.
spin and mention the thing about you tell me about Wrinkle in Time? Like I want you to.
By the way, the
put that all
fight on the
together.
train, that was very distinctive to Black Panther. The two Black Panther kings,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
You're trying to convince us.
He's like not having it.
I'm gonna be
It's
honest.
like moving a stubborn mule uphill.
I just want to be real. I honestly have to see it again. You know, because like I said, the first time I saw it, it was like Game 7 of like the NBA game. Like I'm
But
just
you know
hyped
what?
to
No,
watch.
I will say because the first time I saw it at Baldwin Hills, and then the second time I saw it, I saw it at the Regal downtown.
I think you should give our listeners some context as to what you mean by that.
So, touche. My first time seeing it was the Thursday night it came out in a very black theater in a very black neighborhood, and it was lit. It was literally one of the littest nights I've had in my life. And that's LA, because I don't expect LA to give me a whole lot. Like, I know if I was at home, if I was in New York, it would have been like just nasty. But it was still like lit. And I was like, wow, okay. Then the second time I saw it downtown, which was a much more mixed environment, like and it was a quiet theater. It was a very quiet screening, and I was like, okay, so it's a different experience. Mm-hmm. We all are receiving this in our own ways. Yeah. And I was like, okay, got it. So there wasn't as much. They weren't as moved and as excited about things as we had been.
Did that change?
Okay.
That changed it for you?
I mean, first of all, no, I was just like, wow, they're all crazy.
All these
I was still like, ha ha ha. Like I was but I was like on an island by myself.
Yeah.
No, I feel you.
You know.
When I saw it at the one on Santa Monica, the Westfield, what's that place? Like AMC on Santa Monica Boulevard, all the way down by like the 405.
By the promenade?
No, it's in like Century City. Yeah, Century City.
Okay.
It was like an all white audience, and they loved it. Like,
oh yeah, I mean I saw it.
I never would I wouldn't have known until I looked back to be like, oh, this is an all white crowd.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with my show. It literally was like crickets, and I was like, damn, okay, so it doesn't have the impact that I thought it did. Yeah. I was like, it doesn't travel. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, this movie don't travel.
No, it does. But I think what happened is when you saw it the second time, you saw it with like the people who don't get excited. Like, because they waited to go see it. They waited
But it was
days.
that Sunday. That's true.
It's a Sunday.
I went to see Get Out at Baldwin Hills. Yo, at the last scene, everyone was like standing. Like,
you know what? That's one of my biggest life regrets that I never saw it on the right side of town.
When the homie comes through, you think it's like the cop, but then it's the friend. Everyone's like, ah! Everyone's like high-fiving each other, like, yeah, I knew it. Like, there was like I've never seen people so hyped. The last time I seen people hyped for ending was 8 Mile, and 8 Mile people went crazy too. They were like, the freestyle. Oh my god! I remember the ending of freestyle. The ending of 8 Mile for the last like 15-20 minutes. The crowd was on his feet. We're just like,
crazy.
And
it felt live as shit.
With 8 Mile, that's cool. That one scene, the
one
freestyle
of the best endings ever to a movie.
Right, but what's funny about it is because the movie does such a good job of making you put yourself in that situation of being like, oh shit, there's this freestyle rap battle, but everyone forgets that like this is a movie. This shit is written. This is not a freestyle.
This is not a freestyle.
It's just great rap.
We gotta get Carl's opinion on Black Panther and tie it in with the Wrinkle in Time shit. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so Black Panther. See, I'm still, as mentioned, I'm waiting until it comes out on the DVD to see it.
Guys.
But I've been listening to all the reviews and everything, and the things that I like about it, I actually like the whole T'Challa and Killmonger situation because it was your Malcolm X, Martin Luther King situation, or your African American versus imported African kind of logic battle that was in between them. And I did hear a lot of people say that they felt like the action scenes were recycled and things like that. But it was, from what I understand, people told me they were crying when they came out of it. So
it was emotional.
If somebody tells me they're crying when they came out of it, it's clearly a good goddamn movie. You know what I'm saying? But my thing was, because I'm a social experiment guy, political guy, and I see a lot of excitement, especially in the African American community, about the film. Oh no, dude, you gotta see it, because African American, woo, because of the actors and the director, and whoop de whoop, bum. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I feel you, it's real hype. And then Wrinkle in Time came out like 2 weeks later, right? Black female director. Black girl as the lead actress. Oprah Winfrey up in the joint.
Yeah.
Ain't none of these niggas want to see it.
Nobody
want to see it. And then I'm like, yo, why don't you go see it? They're like, yo, well, look at the ratings. The ratings say it's bad. I said, well, nobody ever saw Black Panther before you went to see it on opening night. Yeah. So Are you really going to see it for the black actors now? And then old girl got another movie coming out that she's called like the something else, like this black female director got another movie coming out like next summer where she's going to do an action film like Black Panther type joint with all these new superheroes. Let's see if Wakanda's in the theater. That's all I'm talking about. That's why I'm seeing it on DVD, because y'all too hype about it and y'all not following up when the next stuff come out 2 weeks later.
Good for you.
2 weeks later. But I'm going to go see Wrinkle in Time just to spite y'all.
Yeah. You know what? Good for you.
Boom.
And let me tell you who also saw Wrinkle in Time on opening weekend.
That's right.
This one right here.
There you go. That's right. Represent.
Yeah,
That's
I will
right.
say you're right about that, and we all know the one thing that we do poorly, and I don't know whoever's listening where y'all listening from, but specifically within the African American community, we good to show up for the men, but not so much for the women. We definitely do not support our women. But it's cool.
Yeah, that's all right. That's
Is
all right.
it?
That's all right. Hey,
Of course not.
It's time's up. Me too. It's
But
all right.
but I got my pride.
That's right. That's all right.
But no, we don't. We absolutely don't. And it was dismal to see, you know, how. But at the same time, it still was the number 2 movie that weekend, and that's also special. Like
that's good.
this was the very first time that you had a number 1 and number 2 movie at the box office with black directors.
Well, that's good.
And that was like, you know,
That's good.
remarkable. But no, those pre-sales, it's just like.
Well, I think.
Meanwhile, though, Wrinkle in Time does have a 4.2 on IMDb. I just want to let you know that. Child's Play has 5.0.
But see, this is the thing. Now, don't get
I'm
me.
sorry,
now,
Child's
I will
Play
say,
3 has
But see,
5.0.
now the thing about that and what that speaks to, and that's a whole other conversation, because we have a big problem with valuing female-centered stories. Right? You talk about all the movies that are exciting, all the movies that get talked about the most, they're very masculine, and the point of view is masculine.
But I don't think it's because we only like those movies. I think there's just a shortage of other films with females as the I like not Gone Girl. What's the girl with the girl on the train? That's fantastic. Have you seen what's that show? Big Little Lies? Is that the show on HBO? Jesus Christmas.
It's
That's my favorite show.
It's a superb show.
That's my favorite. It's
I
like
don't know
so.
that these
Yeah,
are
but
fair
that's-
comparisons though, because
Exactly.
again, white women. Right.
And also, too, people didn't really show up to the movie theater for Girl on the Train, to be
No,
honest.
they
didn't.
Really? It bombed at the box office.
Damn, that's.
And I'm saying this as a female filmmaker. This is me, and I get into this with my brothers sometimes even, because, like, they love this, they love that. And it's like, that's super dope. That's fantastic. I wouldn't make any of those movies. And I like them, but that's not something I would go out and make. And that's just the reality of it. Like, that's not my lens.
Right.
That's not my view. It's just not where I'm coming from. But I also have had to accept the fact that I'm going to make a lot of work that people aren't really going to vibe with, because it's not as exciting. And that's just like a societal thing, I think. And with Wrinkle in Time, you're talking about a movie that's about a 13-year-old girl dealing with self-esteem. A lot of people aren't looking at that as, oh, that's a universal story. But it's like, well, it's a lot of 13-year-old girls, and even me, I'm somewhat past 13. A little teasy bit.
You used to be 13. Though.
But
You
at one
used to be
point I was
13.
13, and even at the age that I am now, which I'm in my 30s, but even in my 30s, I got a lot of value watching this girl go through this process of like valuing herself. And I didn't feel like, and yes, that's a very feminine energy, that whole idea. But again, I have 3 brothers. I look at, and I think that they've had to go through the process of valuing themselves, especially as like young black men in America, and feeling like, where's my place? Like they battle those same things, but I don't think they're thinking of it in that framework of like, oh, I have to value myself. I have to learn to value my place in the world. But that's really what it was about. And that's a very universal experience. So we just don't appreciate the feminine gaze. And that is a completely different conversation.
Yeah, because I mean, I will say I think that Spider-Man is that story too. Like, Peter Parker doesn't value himself.
Right?
He's shy. He's a dork. He has no friends. And then he has this like transformative experience that teaches him to value himself.
There you go.
And not stress about bullies and all that kind of stuff. Which
There
is
you
exactly
go.
what...
Which is literally the same
that's
thing
literally
with
what Wrinkle in Time is about.
But as we all know, men are more universal than women. Because
well, first of all, there's
humans.
that. Like, women, as women, we are expected to be able to identify with men's stories, and men are not expected to identify with ours.